Good to see you. Welcome aboard. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. We had what pick. Good to see you. Why not motivate us on this Monday? Why not? Why is today unlike all other days? Motivate you, Rich. Man, I hope I can. I hope I can. I don't really know what to say. I was a bit lost without all of us over the weekend. And but on the other hand, today I was thinking, man, I am so tired. I got up this morning. Greetings, Ed. Got up this morning and went out for a bike ride. Belinda, Lady Jerry, and I have purchased ourselves new bicycles for early Christmas. Whatever. Pandemic. Got to do something in this pandemic to feel like you're doing something. And so one of the things you can do is a bike. Well, we had friends over months ago, and I said to them the thing that I say to people or ask. I didn't say a thing, I asked a thing. I said a thing, but it was a question, so I asked it. And the question that I like to ask is, what are you doing? What is the thing that you can do during the pandemic that is close to normal that we're still allowed to do? For a while, we were allowed to go to outdoor dining here in California. That's similar. Oh, Rich, you lost a coworker to COVID over the weekend. Man, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss and to hear that, and of course your coworker's family. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's words aren't really enough in a situation like that. We all know that, but sometimes it's nice to hear that. So I see people offering you their sympathies. I'm sorry, I got a little quiet. That you've knocked me off my pins. So what are the things that we can do, that we're allowed to do during this pandemic, that are safe? Rich is reminding us why we're not allowed to do the things that we're not allowed to do, and that is because they're a danger to ourselves and others, and so we're trying to be careful about that. We're trying to be careful about that, some of us. And I think we're all taking risks as well. But one of the things that my friend said that she was really enjoying is bicycling. She bought a bike. Oh, Ed, I'm glad you brought up George Clooney. And I'm sorry, I may not even get into this whole bicycle thing. George Clooney did reveal in an interview that he has been cutting his hair with a Flowbee for 20 years, and I think I have been cutting my hair with a Flowbee for going more than 30 years. But yeah. Oh, Ed, you gave yourself a Flowbee haircut. Yeah, I'm due. I'm going to Flowbee myself later today. I think I'm going to give myself a little touch up, spruce up in honor of George Clooney. To have something in common with George Clooney, Ed, is, I think, a good feeling for us. So at least that's what I'm saying. Oh, Rich, you're saying your coworker was planning to retire this spring. Well, I have to say this pandemic has got me thinking about things that I have always wanted to do that I'm going to get started doing as soon as we're allowed to start doing things. Dave, you kayaked a ton this year, just did yesterday, and then now it's snowing. Yeah, well, good for you, Dave. We were talking about whitewater rafting, Lady Jerry and I, as a possible thing to do. I think we'll be able to take some trips in the car. I still have this van idea. Anyway, I bought this bike. Bought this a gravel bike, which is kind of like a road bike crossed with a mountain bike, but more road bike, the one that I got, than mountain bike. And I've been on a few rides. I'm on Strava. If you are on Strava and you'd like us to be Strava friends, we can do that. I'm in there as Jake No Last. Ask for your last name, and I just put N-O space L-A-S-T. So Jake No Last, that's me. There's a picture also, so you'll be able to tell it's me if you want to be Strava friends. So I've been on some bike riding. Laura's saying happy Monday, coming to you from chilly Atlanta. Right, heading to Monroe, Louisiana tonight. Brad says got his Christmas present delivered to himself. New massaging heating recliner. Oh man, Brad, I got a buddy who swears by his massage chair recliner, but it's like everything else. They come out with, you gotta stop looking at the new models once you get one, because Strava, Dave, is an app where people share their bike rides and hikes with each other, so you can see the rides, and then you can hold each other accountable. You can say, I've set a 600 kilometer goal for this month. So it's like a social thing, but it's also a fitness thing for biking and hiking, and it can give you ideas for routes, because you can look at the other people who are on the app to see what they're doing in your area. I'm a little concerned, and you can create a privacy setting where you can say for your start and stop point, I've made a circle around so that you can't tell exactly where I live, because a friend was saying she thought she got a bike. She had a friend who got a bike stolen because they saw on Strava where she lived, and they came and stole her bike, which is a terrible story. So, you were painting. You were painting, Darren. Oh, it doesn't sound like you were painting fine art. You were painting a house or something. Ed, your son's on Strava. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not sure if they have kayaking on Strava, Dave. I'm not sure I needed Strava, but my mentor, my person who was over, when I asked her what she's doing in the pandemic that you're still allowed to do that feels normal like always, she suggested a bike, and it took me a few months, but now I've got a bike, and Lady Jerry got a bike. We took a ride together, and but my friend got me also on Strava, so I'm doing what she tells me to do. I bought some pants with built-in diaper pads, and haven't received those yet, but she did tell me today you don't wear underwear with the bike pants. She said you're going to need more than one pair, and I guess now I get it, because you can't. You got to wash your sweaty bike pants before you put them on again, I think. Or you got to not tell anyone that you're wearing the bike pants that you took a big sweaty ride yesterday. And so this morning I got up. I've been on a few bike rides. I got up today without wow, Jason's already requested me on Strava. Rachel, your husband is really on board, right? Fast. That was fast, like a mofo. I'm going to accept that request as soon as I get out as soon as we're done here. So I got up this morning, went on a bike ride up to Temescal Canyon, which is the shortest hiking canyon to where I am now. So I've done Temescal Canyon. I rode up to the trailhead. I didn't ride up into the trail, but I rode up to that. I'm going to try next. I'm going to go up to Will Rogers State Park, which is a little bit further, and after that there's another canyon I can't remember the name of that I'm going to do, but I'm going for a ride with my mentor bike friend tomorrow. Darren, you're saying bicycling is good for us older folks. Well, I don't like to I don't want to yes, Ed, you always do want to set Strava to give ambiguous starting point to cut down on bike theft. Absolutely, I know that now too. So I'm going for a ride with my friend tomorrow, and then after I did my bike ride this morning, I got back around 10. I was on the road by 8:30, got back around 10, and then went straight in for my ocean dip. So I've had a massive bike ride. Well, not massive, 10 miles or so, but it was a big uphill climb, for me, a big uphill climb. And then I went for a swim in the ocean. Beautiful day at the beach today, sunny, cool. The ocean is still cold, 60 degrees. And I was a little bit tired. And then the show started. So Keys, you're saying you'll start riding again. Great. Let's do it. Let's do it, Keys. Let's be Strava friends. Q's Western music. Laura, yeah, well, horse riding. Lady Jerry was a horse rider. So Motivational Monday, we're 10 minutes into the show, and I did have something I did want to talk about, which is this book that I'm reading. My friend Alan Havey, comedian of similar vintage to me, gave me this book. It's called Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, and a couple of bike questions. Todd saying, do you have a good GPS watch for the biking distance, pace, and all that? Strava does that. I don't have a pacer. The Apple Watch does a good heart rate thing, and when it's hooked with the Strava app, it tells you a lot of that stuff. But I might get a bike computer that does a little pacing thing. But I'm pretty good right now. I'm pretty good right now. So this book, Less by Andrew Sean Greer. Les is a gay man living in San Francisco. He's an author, and I hadn't noticed until today when I was looking at the dust jacket, there's a little blurb on the front here by Gary Steingart, who I find to be a very funny writer. And I vouch for Gary Steingart's books, but it says marvelous, unexpected, enduringly funny. And it is enduringly funny. It starts off, this guy, Les, is an author, and he's kind of going through a breakup and feeling a little sorry for himself. And as a comedian who's going through a little bit of the weird COVID blues of not being able to work, not knowing when I'll be able to work, I was already going through a little bit of a age-related slowdown in my phone calls for bookings, and at first I was like, this is the last book I need, but it was recommended by a comedian of a similar vintage to me, and because I respect him as a friend, and also I trust that he also did not want to read a book that was going to bum him out like that there must be more to this than that. And I'm about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through it now, and I have to say I'm really enjoying it, and it is quite charming and nice. And there is a point in the book where what's happening to Les is he's going on this trip, but he's also remembering times from his past, and he's remembering this time from his past when I think he must be on Baker Beach in San Francisco, and there's a nude part of the beach, and he's young, he'd be in his 20s, and he's there, and he meets his future lover, but he's having a conversation with a woman who's at that time 40, he's 20, and there's a woman who's in her 40s who's giving him advice, giving this young man advice. And so she says to him, you should be at the beach like today. You should get stoned and drunk and have loads of sex. She takes another drag off her cigarette. I think the saddest thing in the world is a 25-year-old talking about the stock market or taxes or real estate. God damn it. That's all you talk about when you're 40, real estate. And any 25-year-old who says the word refinance should be taken out and shot. Talk about love and music and poetry, things everyone forgets they ever thought were important. Waste every day, that's what I say. And that's a kind of a funny advice for a motivational Monday, but there is a moment in here where Les is talking about, or someone is talking to him about how when you reach 50 years old or dare I say 60, you finally figure out how to be young. You finally figure out what the best way to be young is, and at that point you're not young anymore. You still feel young, and so you should be at the beach. You should get stoned and drunk and have loads of sex. I don't know about stoned and drunk, but you should enjoy your life, and you should have lots of sex. You should go to the beach, and you should take bike rides, and you should jump in the ocean on a cold day, and you should try and find a way to enjoy yourself and do things now in COVID that will make you feel normal and alive and happy. Make your list for the things you want to do when you get out of this, when we get out of this pandemic, when we're able to do things again. I mean, I hope that I'll be able to go on the road and do some shows, at the very least on some small scale, to visit some of the places where all of you are, and for us to be together and have a chance to laugh and talk about what we mean to each other. Well, there's people in here. Lawn tractors in the garage is the garage equivalent of exercise equipment, clothes, storage. Oh, I see. There's a Garmin 500 watch I could be getting. going riding. Mark says he's going riding in the morning, local church parking lot, no helmet. Just get started. Finished Lance Armstrong book over the holiday weekend. I haven't read Lance's book, Mark, but I can tell you that there's a 3-part documentary about him, or maybe it's 2 parts on ESPN Plus that I enjoyed. Lance Armstrong. So, Brad, what are you saying? You met Lance Armstrong on Ragbri bike ride across Iowa. Yeah, I'd love to do that Ragbri sometime. That is on my list, but I think I've got to talk Lady Jerry into that. I don't think I'm doing that by myself. We should all be having more fun every day, Flavia's agreeing, as far as we are able, depending on our situation, milk every moment of our lives. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Flavia. Let's milk these moments of our lives. Let's enjoy it. Darren, you're 55, you're finally getting it. Yeah, you wish you understood it 20 years ago. I think we all kind of wish we understood it sooner, but I was talking to a friend the other day about this sea dip. I've got one of the neighbors. I've got a disciple, everyone. I've got a disciple. My cult of jumping in the ocean, the cold ocean every day. I've got a disciple, my neighbor, and we were in the other day, and she was saying, I wish I had started doing this sooner. And I was telling her the one about the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. And the second best time to plant a tree is today. And so, yeah, you just figured out how to be young. That's a bummer that you didn't figure that out 20 years ago. But the second best time to go do all those things you just realized you should have been doing all this time is right now. And so let's all write a book. Let's all sign up for Ragbri. Oh man, Ragbri together. That sounds pretty good. Cindy, you say you're pretty sure your sister has an app on the phone that does it all. You can't tell you the name though. Yeah, well, Cindy, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow when you get that name. Or maybe you can. Maybe you can't text her while we're on the chat because you're watching the show on your phone. First and only Ragbri. Uma, you did Ragbri. Ragbri sounds great. So that's kind of on my list of things to do. I also want to go whitewater rafting, as we've just discussed. I've been looking at vans. We're talking about maybe renting one to go camping. I've also been looking at boxes to put on top of the Subaru to take some extra stuff. Come jump in Lake Michigan, polar bear plunge New Year's. Brad, yes, I feel like I'm going to polar bear plunge here. I don't know what the temperature of the ocean is going to be on New Year's, but I'll let you know. It's 60 right now, so it's probably going to drop a bit. 52 is about as cold as it gets. I'm sure they had cut a hole in the ice to jump in Lake Michigan, or maybe not. Maybe it doesn't freeze solid now, but I bet it's cold like a mofo. Darren, my wife and I are making the best of this. Someone mentioned we should focus on what we can do rather than what we can't. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Pandemic or not, your opinions are endless. Your opinions or your options? Well, I hope my opinions are also endless. Oh yeah, I should do a show and do Ragbri and put a show on in each town, Keys. Yeah, that would be a little bit of a bummer for the people who are on the bike ride who come to the second or third show and realize this is the same as the other show. Sally, you just did 13 sneezes in a row. I don't know if I've ever done 13. Anytime it gets over 3, it feels like a big day to me. Dave, you've had a good summer finding and fully getting into the things you can do. That's great. That's great. I'm always looking for ideas of things to do. So if you've got a list of those and you want to send them to me or post them in the group, that would be great. Yeah, Ed, your van plan is to buy my van when I'm tired of owning it. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm a little bit worried about. That I'm going to get that van and be tired of owning it in less than 2 years, and so that's a little bit scary. Gary says, I always put off starting a bonsai. I remember when I was a kid, Mom getting a kit for Christmas, read the instructions, and it talked about a few years ahead. You gave up, and you would have had a fucking killer bonsai by now. You're 55. Yeah, well, Gary, this is my advice to you. Nobody asked me to. I'm just starting a life coach business, and so right now it's free today and for a limited period of time, probably through COVID. on this show. The life coaching is free. My advice to you, Gary, is go out there and get yourself a bonsai tree that someone else has already got going. That is, how old were you when you thought about doing it? When you were a kid. Okay, so that's going to be, you're 55, so that'd be, what do you think? Let's just go 40 years ago to take you back to 15. So you might not have to get a 40-year-old bonsai. That might be a bit of an ask, but I bet you could get some bonsai that someone has been working on for 5 or 10 years that looks great, and you take it from there. The initial work is done. You can afford it. You're a 55-year-old man who's got a device to watch a silly comedian do a daily briefing show on. I bet you can afford that bonsai tree, and I suggest that that's what you get yourself for Christmas, or you have someone get you. That's my advice. Oh, Todd, you spent a lot more time sucking at guitar during this. Well, you know, the benefit of sucking at guitar for an amount of time is that you will suck less at guitar now than you did at the beginning of the Varinus. And so congratulations to you. Ed, this is a good quote. My most favorite tree quote is, "A society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." Yes, I do get that. A lot of times it is the old men who are planting the trees because they realize that someone should have fucking planted those. Some old man should have planted those trees when they were kids, and so they do it. Lake Michigan water temper 45, air temperature 28 now, getting colder. Yeah, 45, that is effing cold. I'm usually I go in the 60-degree water and stay in for 10 minutes. And that's my goal, is to keep trying to stay in there for 10 minutes. Usually I'm fine. It doesn't feel like I need to get out. 45, it'd be tough, I think, to stay in for 10 minutes. But if it keeps going down here, I'm going to see. Dave says, I tried restoring a vintage clock as part of this madness, failed miserably, and bled a lot. Ooh, those vintage clock parts are sharp on the old fingers. And I don't know about you, Dave, but as I've gotten older, sometimes my skin will be really papery thin, which sounds pathetic and terrible. And sometimes I have some old man crepey arms, but Lady Jerry's giving me some moisture for that. So hopefully that's gonna. You got to moisturize. You got to moisturize. You've got to moisturize. I was just talking the other day about, oh God, who was John Witherspoon? You've got to coordinate. John Witherspoon, rest in peace. Excuse me. You got to moisturize. The fun meter is in the max right here. Is the cold dip part of the Wim Hof breathing stuff? Laura is asking. Well, yeah, kind of. I suppose I do a modified Wim Hof. I take deep breaths in through my nose and out through my mouth on the way from here to the beach. Just about a 10-minute walk, and then I jump in. So, or maybe less, maybe 5-minute walk. But I feel like, yeah, controlling your breath, that's job one. As soon as you get in the cold water, you want to get your breath controlled. You want to breathe in deep and exhale all the way out. And once you control that breath, you focus on that, and it takes your mind off the sensation of it being cold. Once you got your breath under control, the cold on your skin, you can tolerate it. You've already decided that. The hardest part about doing the cold water thing is deciding that you're going to do it. And once you do that, once you decide you're going to do it, you can do it. And there's some other life coaching, motivational Monday. The hardest part about doing a lot of shit is deciding that you're going to do it. Stand-up comedy, people are always like, how do you know you're funny enough? You don't know you're funny enough. You just know you want to do it. And once you decide you're going to do it, and you go out there and do it, it's not, the biggest hurdle is believing you can do it. The biggest hurdle is believing you can do it. Trust me. For every relative and friend who dies, you plant a tree in parks, cities, along highways, etc. Get approvals. I visit the trees, living memorials often. Brad, that is a great idea. I really like that idea. Thank you for sharing that today. The idea of planting a tree to remember people, and then remembering where the trees you planted are and going to see them. And then as you get older and you can't remember where the trees are that you planted to remember the people, you could just be that tree. Wow, that tree. Anyway. Flavia's saying shea butter and coconut oil every day to moisturize. Yes, moisturizing tips. Lady Jerry, we're going to have to get in there. Dave, you're plenty moist. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, put the moisturizer on the outside just like the mayonnaise. That's right, Uma. Do not drink the moisturizer. Yeah, Letterman loved John Witherspoon. And yeah, we had a conversation about Dave one night. I mean, John was quite good friends with him. And had actually gone to some of those Formula One races and whatnot. He said it was incredibly noisy, sort of crazy. All right. You decided you're going to make Keys wear pants, Uma. Well, you know, don't forget to let a guy be a guy. We've all got to try and let ourselves be ourselves. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee. It's nice cold brew coffee. I'm going to think about the bike ride I'm going to take tomorrow morning. I'm going to tell you all about that when I'm seeing you tomorrow. Still got to post that link for the show I'm doing with Christella on December 8th. Tomorrow's Bible story, Sodom and Gomorrah. How's that sound? Little decadence, post-holiday decadence, Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh wait, I think we've already done Sodom and Gomorrah. Sorry about that. That's happened. Abraham's two sons. I think we know that one. Yeah, we can talk about Abraham's two sons tomorrow. That's a good one. That's a good one. And it won't be as long as last week. Oh, wow. Brad says, my grave, I'll be buried in a pod and tree planted on top of my body. Red, delicious apple tree, and my stone will read, eat me. Maybe they should be sour green apples. Well, Brad, you also need to do some reading about apples because apple trees, you got the rootstock and then they graft the proper fruit-bearing branches onto the top part. So you can, anyway, I don't know if all of that happens before they plant it on top of your body, but you want to make sure that somebody who knows about apples is in charge of this plan that you've got because it is slightly more complicated than it first seems on the surface to the apple tree neophyte. Ed says if we plant 1 trillion trees, we start to address global warming to a serious degree. Yeah. Well, let's just plant 1 tree and then plant a second tree and plant a third tree. Let's not worry about 1 trillion trees. Let's just start with 1 tree. Work our way up. As soon as you plant 1 tree, you plant 1 more tree. 1 step at a time. Boom, boom, boom. Can't get too much Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, maybe we'll do a little Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah? Yeah, it is. I think that's right. All right. It's time for today's Seize the Day, I think. This one caught my eye earlier. Oh, a little fart machine. Will Lady Jerry be with us on Tuesday's show, Mr. Predicto?
It has been determined so.
It has been determined so. I'm glad that Mr. Predicto is so sure that Lady Jerry will be here tomorrow because I'm not sure. She seems pretty busy and she does not like to be quiet during the Bible story. What's my temperature? Let's make sure I'm healthy here. 98.2. That's a little warm for me, isn't it? Well, I've got the heat on in here, but that shouldn't affect it. No, 98.2. A little warmer than usual. Maybe I've heated myself up with all this bike riding. I feel great. Let me just say that, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Robert Louis Stevenson, today's Seize the Day. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. How about that? And I had actually picked that out before the show started. I didn't know we were going to do all this tree talk. We got apple trees. We've got bonsai trees. Let's go out there and grow a bonsai tree. Bonsai tree. I had an apple tree growing in a septic leach field. People would steal them. Joke was on them. Oh, I doubt the poo affected the flavor of the apples, but maybe. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. So, if those apples taste like crap, you need to go plant some more apple trees. And thank you guys. Thank you guys. Welcome back. Coming on strong. We got a month to go before this 2020 is in the record books. We're gonna shit can this mofo. So stay strong. Don't give up. There will be plenty of time to give up later. You can still buy a Flowbee and cut your own hair like George Clooney and yours truly. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, and